ever just scrolling Instagram and you think, man, that person's life is like straight out of Greek myth? Well, that's kind of Ilan Tobianah in a nutshell.
Yeah.
The guy's living a modern-day Zeus fantasy, or at least that's the vibe he's giving off. You sent over some articles about him, and I got to admit, I'm intrigued. Way more than just your typical look at my private jet kind of guy, you know?
Absolutely. And you're smart to see that, because with Tobianah, it's not just about the flaunting, right? It's the whole strategy underneath it that's fascinating. This isn't some kid who hit it big on TikTok last week.
Right.
This is someone who built a whole real estate empire. We're talking Millionaire many times over, long before social media was even a thing.
Okay, so hold on, 'cause this is where I'm already getting tripped up. The dude's out there posing with supercars, but he made his fortune on, what, contract law? Seems like a weird combo.
See, and that right there, that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, because it's not just accidental wealth he's showing off. This is someone who's like mastered this understanding that in our world, in this digital age, image is everything. It's currency. And he's not just throwing out any old image of success, right? He's crafting this whole persona, and it's tapping into something much deeper, almost, I don't know, primal.
You're talking about the whole Zeus thing.
Exactly. Like, think about it. The name, the visuals he uses, that one photo of him with the Delage D12, that car's with millions.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Or those glimpses you get of these crazy yacht parties in Monaco. Those aren't just I'm rich symbols. They're tapping into this timeless idea of power, of reaching this almost godlike status, and people pick up on that, even subconsciously.
Yeah, and it's not even just the flashy stuff. He's got this air of mystery about him, too. Like the articles mentioned, he almost never gives interviews.
Right.
And his captions, always these cryptic, open-ended statements.
And that's the genius of it. In a world where everyone's oversharing every detail of their lives, Tobianah gets the power of scarcity. By holding back, he makes himself exclusive. Like, you're dying to know more, so you get sucked into the myth he's built.
Totally. It's like he's giving us a peek through a keyhole, just enough to make us wonder what's going on behind the scenes. You know, what really got me, though, going through all these articles, for all this Zeus stuff, Tobianah doesn't really play the whole lonely at the top card.
Right.
He's got a family, kids, and all that.
And see, that's where you really see the layers of this whole brand he's built. Because he could easily be plastering pics of his kids all over Instagram, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, look at my adorable heirs.
Exactly. Half these influencers do that. But he makes this very deliberate choice to keep that part private.
Which makes you wonder, what's the message there? Is it about protecting them from, all this? Or is it more about keeping that mystique, making sure that Zeus stays the main character in this whole thing?
It's such a good question, and it kind of speaks to this bigger trend we're seeing with influencer marketing in general, don't you think? Like, it's not just about being aspirational anymore. People want the real deal. They want to see what's behind the curtain.
Right.
But Tobianah, he gets that even authenticity.
Yeah.
You can curate that. You give him just enough to keep him hooked, but never enough to break the illusion.
And speaking of curated authenticity, we got to talk about Afrodite. His partner, Rebeka, Vosu, right?
Oh, yeah. Genius branding, when you think about it.
It's kind of wild.
She leans right into the whole mythology thing, doubles down on it even. Now it's not just one person striving for this godlike status. It's a whole power couple love story wrapped up in it. Really takes it up a notch.
Makes you wonder, are they in on the joke together?
Yeah.
Like, are they crafting this big, over-the-top image as a team? Or have they just become the myth?
$1 million question.
Right.
And it gets at that line between who you are online versus who you are in real life, especially in the age of social media. It's blurry.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like, at what point does playing a role become just who you are? And that's not even just influencers, it's all of us.
100%. We're all shaping some version of ourselves online, whether we realize it or not.
Sure.
But Tobianah, he's next level. He understands how to tell a story, how to tap into these deep-seated human desires for wealth, power, even love. But then on top of all that, you've got these hints that he's into other stuff too. Like, he's really into music, right?
Yeah. The articles mentioned DJs, like seriously DJs at some pretty exclusive events.
And that, I think that's what makes the whole thing so compelling.
Yeah.
It adds this layer of, like, he's a real person. Makes him more intriguing, because here's this guy who, on the surface, has it all, the money, the status, the whole Zeus life. But then he finds this creative outlet, something that seems kind of separate from the image he's so carefully constructed.
It's almost like he's saying, yeah, I'll fly you to Mykonos, no big deal. But tea, I could also throw down on a house set and blow your mind.
Right. Exactly. And it's that little bit of unexpected, I guess, that makes you stop and think, is this just another part of the persona? Or is it,
And that's kind of the whole thing with this guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
he is the master of the image. Everything's deliberate. But then the more you dig, you see these flashes of something real, something more.
He's the walking contradiction of where we're at right now. The whole world's obsessed with keeping it real, but so much of what we see online is fake. Tobianah just takes it to the extreme. He's made personal branding into an art form, performance art almost.
And so we're left asking, how much of it is real? Is this godlike life actually his life? Or is it all just for show?
I honestly don't think there's an easy answer. And that's what makes him so fascinating to analyze.
Yeah.
He forces you to look at how you interact with all this, with image, with wanting things, with the stories we tell about ourselves. Makes you think.
So I got to ask, after this deep dive, are you leaning one way or the other? Is Ilan Tobianah this modern myth a total fabrication? Or is there more to him than that?
It's got to be both, right? It's never that simple. And honestly, that's the most interesting part of it all.
That's the thing about these deep dives. You come in thinking you'll find the truth, but you walk away with more questions.
Yeah.
Makes you look twice at everything you see online.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.